This past weekend, Kay and I headed to a place we haven't been to in a long time, Montauk State Park. As we drove to the park, we reminisced about days gone by. Times when feeding trout in the hatchery for 25 cents was all we could really afford for entertainment, and it was all we really needed. Since we tend to arrive at camp late in the evening on a Friday, we usually prepare simple dinners that require no cooking. This approach generates fewer chores and allows us to spend more time relaxing at our campsite.
I love mornings, but mornings at camp are extra special before the rest of the world wakes up.
On this particular trip, we decided not to do any lengthy hiking. We spent most of our time exploring the park's main offerings, accessible merely steps from the parking lot, the old mill, the rearing pool of the fish hatchery, and most importantly, the current river and Pigeon Creek.
This gristmill is all that remains of the once thriving little community of Montauk. It was around in the 1800s and early 1900s. As Matt said earlier, we used to love to come here to feed the fish. This is one of Missouri's 5 trout hatcheries. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, they've taken away the fish food. I really missed feeding the fish that day.
Missouri is a beautiful state. The forests are lush, and there's plenty of wildlife. But our springs are among the finest natural features the state has to offer. It's mesmerizing to gaze into the crystal clear water emerging from the ground. The water bubbling up through the sand reminds me of the thermal features in Yellowstone, only without the heat, acid, or smell of burning sulfur.
I could watch flowing water all day long. I always wonder where it's going. In this case, I know where it's headed. These are the headwaters of the current river. 40 million gallons of water flow out of Montauk Springs every day.
Every time I observe fly fishing, I find myself admiring it. The smooth, yellow line carving gracefully through the air, the hand-tied fly landing in a precise place up current so that it floats downstream to an awaiting hungry trout, and the calm, quiet, intense presence of a fisherman focused on getting the catch of the day all remind me that it's not really about catching.
One last look at Montauk Spring before heading on to the rest of our day. Matt loves cooking breakfast at camp, and it really is part of our camping experience. So after our morning walk, we came back and had a little brunch. This is a wonderful walking path. It's less than a mile long, and it allows you to see some of the best features in the park. When this area was made a park in 1926, the Civilian Conservation Corps came through and built many amenities and structures. This is called the Old Stone Bridge.
Montauk Lake is a must-stop when you visit this park. Its waters are crystal clear and home to a variety of wildlife. We spent several hours on the shores of this body of water, watching turtles dive and snakes carve through unseen passages in the rocks, and listening to the voices of frogs, birds, and insects come together in a crisp, unpredictable outdoor symphony.
After a day spent exploring the park, we relaxed at camp and made dinner. If you're not into camping, Montauk State Park does have 18 motel rooms, a dining lodge, and several cabins. Our last morning in the park, we couldn't resist going back to the lake and walking along Pigeon Creek one last time. Being out in nature and along the flowing water is good for our soul. Montauk State Park was the perfect getaway for us for a weekend. Sometimes walking back into the past is just what you need.